Welcome to Python programming, everyone. So let's get started on the Tkinter module. And the Tkinter module is sort of similar to our Turtle module. And with Tkinter in Python, you can draw text boxes, buttons, and labels. So we will go ahead and go to File and click on New File. We will now write a program in which if I click a button, some strings appear like hello there or beep. So the first thing that I'm going to write is import the Tkinter module from Python. So I'm going to write from Tkinter import and then star. So this will basically import the Tkinter module into my program so that I can use all the different functions and features of Tkinter. In the second line, I'm going to create a window where I will include my button. So if I type tk like this line of code basically creates a window for me. So I'll show you how it looks like. So if I run the module, and by the way, this is part of the Tkinter, tk is part of the Tkinter module. So I hit OK. And let me just save this in my documents folder inside my Python lessons, and I will save this as Tkinter button, and I save it. So when I run those two lines of code, you can see that I have a screen over here like this, a window, and it says TK. So that's what the TK parenthesis does. It just creates a window. So I'm going to store this window inside a variable, and I'll name the variable window equals TK, just like this. So my window is going to be stored inside this variable window. Now, in the next line, I am going to create a button on top of this window, and there is a code for that. It's button window. So basically here I'm saying that the window that I created in the previous step right over here, on this window I'm creating a button, and on top of that button I will have the text click me. So you basically write text equals and you put this click me inside this quotation, and this will represent your click me string, and then you close it. Now if I run this right now, let's see what we have. I'll hit OK, and you can see that nothing appears, and the reason for that is we have to write one more line of code to visualize the button. So with this code you basically create the button, but the button is not visual yet. So you have to add another line of code to visualize it. So I will save all these information inside my variable btn to represent button, and then so that I don't have to type this entire thing again and again as I move along the code. So I'll just save this inside my button btn variable, the btn storage, because variable is considered like sort of like a container for me. And then in the next line I'm going to write this code btn dot pack open and close parenthesis. Now pack is the code by which you visualize your button. So you type, over here all I'm saying is that whatever button I have created in this line on this window with click me, I stored all of these inside this button. So now this button, I just want to visualize it on my window with pack. So if I run this right now, you can see that I have my button over here, and if I can click on it, but nothing happens as of now because I have to add a few more lines of code with which will do something when I hit on that click me. But basically, the pack code over here, it just visualizes your button. It also determines where your button will be placed on the window. So it just positions that accordingly as well. So as you saw before, when I hit the click me button, nothing happened. So I'm going to write some additional lines of code in which when I click on the button click me, the word beep is going to appear. So I'm going to write my own function right now. And basically function is a block of code that executes when you call it. So at this point, I'm going to write or define my function. And the way to define your function is def or defining, and then I write the name of my function. So let's say the name of my function is beep, and then I put an opening and closing parenthesis. So this is how you define a function. You write def, the name of your function, you put an opening and closing parenthesis, and you put a colon. And in the next line, you're going to define what this beep function is going to do. So this beep function will basically print the word beep. So I'm going to write print, which is another built-in function in Python. And built-in functions are basically functions that's already built in. You don't have to add anything to it. So this print function will print the word beep. So I included beep inside this quotation and parenthesis. So this means that beep is going to be printed. And I entered this line under my function beep, which means that this beep function, whenever I call it, it's going to print the word beep. So I just defined what the beep function is going to do. Now, if I run this code, you can see that if I click, nothing happens. You know what? I want, like, whenever I click on the button, like if I run it again, whenever I click on this click me, I just want my program, like when I click on this click me button, I just want my program to print out the word beep. But when I click on it right now, nothing happens. So I have just created a function that prints out beep, right? But now I need to associate this function with my button. I haven't made that association, and that's the reason why when you click on the click me button, nothing happens. So to associate that, I'm going to write, to associate my function beep with this button, I'm going to put a comma beside this and write command equals beep. So what I'm doing with this line of code here is I am telling my button that, when I press on click me, call this beep function over here, call this beep function through this command, call this function, and guess what this function does? This function basically prints out beep. That's what I'm doing with this line of code here. I'm calling this beep function, which prints out beep when and it's going to print out beep when I click on this button, because I included the statement inside my btn variable, which is storing all my buttons information. So now if I run this module and hit OK to save it, if I run this, I again see this click me here. So if I click on this click me now, you can see that the beep, it's just printing out beep, 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 beep. So that's how The Tkinter module works. With Tkinter, you can create buttons, labels, text boxes. So in this example, we just showed you how you can use Tkinter to create a button. And we also created our own function and associated that function with the button so that when we click on the button, this function executes. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching and hope to catch up with you later on.